Hey everyone, this is Rachelle. Thanks for clicking on my video. Just came in today to do a review of Love and Hip Hop. So let's just get started. So this episode opens up with Karlie Red going to the jeweler to find out the value of the ring that Life Jennings gave her. Lord have mercy. Okay. So she's there, and then in comes Jessica Dunn, this big booty, pink haired wannabe diva. She sachets her big ass in, knocking down jewelry as she passes through because her ass has swiped counters on its way in. She makes it up to Karlie, and Karlie tells her that she's there, to get the ring appraised. So the jeweler is standing there doing his job, and he looks at these two silly bitches, and he tells them that Life got this out of a bubblegum machine. The shit is worth $10. I was sitting there like, look, girl, what the hell were you at a damn jeweler? The man said you can't have him. Did you actually think that he was gonna give you a ring that was worth thousands of dollars for you to go sell it? Child, she's a silly wench, and y'all know this is all for the show and whatever. That was the first part of the episode. Then we get to Mimi sitting in the park, and she looks gorgeous. Mimi is a beautiful woman. I don't know why she deals with all this stuff that's going on and why she's so damn silly, because she could just move on. But anyway, Stevie J walks up. They sit down. She tells him about the whole thing of how she was upset and all of this. And, she has something on her mind, Mimi. You know, she wants to bring Stevie there to talk about child support. Now, Mimi, before she does all this, goes through this whole song and dance that she does all the time of how she's only having Stevie in her life for their daughter Eva. Now, we know that Mimi is really more invested in Stevie than just for Eva. It's for her. Because if she wanted Stevie out of her life, she could just have a cordial relationship with him to co-parent their child. Mothers do it every day, so not one of us who's ever left a man is believing this bullshit that she's talking. She likes the drama that is Stevie J. But today they're here to talk about child support. She says she's tired of doing it this way. She wants to go ahead and get it on paper. Now, I could tell that Stevie really wasn't appreciating that. Stevie J has his problems with child support, and he thinks this is now turning into a business. So he sits there and he listens, and eventually he gets up and walks away because I don't think he thought that that's what he was coming there for, and he definitely doesn't want another child support thing levied on him because let's face it, he is behind in other child support for other children. So this is the last thing that I believe that he wants to hear. Then the next scene, child, when I saw this, I was like, oh my God. No, Tommie is not at a ballet studio. Now, the first thing I thought is this bitch was limbering herself up for the next couch that she was about to jump off and the next counter that she's going to climb up on. But no, she's there. She's claiming that, she's really into this ballet and she's, whatever. But in walks Karen, who is Scrappy Leon's mom. And just like us, she's shocked that this crazy ass bitch is at a ballet studio. Now she comes in, they sit down and chat it up a little bit. And she talks about Tommie's drinking and how she needs to get herself together. But before that, Tommie tells her about the whole thing that she had with Stevie J and Joseline. And what she tells her is that, they wanted to do probably a threesome and she shut them down. And she basically went back to her hotel room. She says that she hears a knock on the door. She goes to the door and it's Stevie J. And basically, he's come to her room for, I guess, what she describes as the casting couch, meaning that I guess Stevie J said, you said that you want to work with me. I am the best in the industry, which, that's suspect right now because it's been quite a few years since he had any type of hit or anything. But if he says he's the best, then child, he's the best. Tommie says that it's kind of like he wants to throw her down. She shuts him down and basically puts him out of her room. Then a little bit later, there's another knock on the door. And this time, it's the Puerto Rican princess herself, Miss Joseline. She wants to know if Stevie J has been up there fucking. She knows her man, and it's a possibility. So Tommie tells Karen she has to shut this bitch down and put her out too. And then, I guess after that, the night is quiet. It is the next morning, and there is yet another knock on the door. But this time, it's the police. And they said that there is a fugitive in the room, and they searched the room high and low looking for this fugitive, which the fugitive is Tommie. Because Tommie believes that Joseline has sicked the police on her and she is very upset. Now, I'm going to watch a little bit more, y'all, and I'm going to come back in. These people, child, these stories get more and more elaborate. Mona is on her shit. This is so funny. Okay, y'all. Scrappy meets up with Tommie to discuss him coming to her fashion show for Bambi with the flowers, and he tells her how he spoke to Bambi, but Bambi didn't seem like she was receiving what it was that he was trying to tell her with the flowers and his presence there. He said that it seemed like Bambi needed something more and he just wasn't sure what that something was. Basically, Tommie tells him, you're going to lose Bambi if you don't step up to the plate and make a move, and that move is give her your last name. Now, Scrap had thought that maybe if he got a connecting necklace, that would make things better, and it would show Bambi exactly how he felt. Tommie shut that shit down and was like, man, look, she don't want no damn connecting necklace. She wants your last name. She wants you to make her an honest woman. This is the way that you can show her, what it is that you really want out of her. You say that she's the woman that has stood beside you and all of that. Show her by giving her your last name. Now you can tell that Scrappy is like, I didn't know that possibly it was going to be all that. I need to think about this. I care about this girl, but this is a big step. So, they end their scene with the promise that he's gonna, not get the ring and give her the last name, but he's pretty much gonna think about it because this has thrown him a little bit. Now, we all know that this stuff is scripted, but he says he's thrown. Now, the next thing is Joseline, filming her music video, y'all. I don't understand a damn word she said. Money, that's it. I caught that word, but other than that, she looks like a hooker that they gave a mic and she's at the karaoke. I don't know where Joseline thinks that she's gonna blow up and in what country, because I don't know if it's going to be here in America. Because first of all, she needs to, I don't know, sing it in English. Is she speaking English? Because I can't understand a damn word she said. But that's not neither here nor there. Tiara shows up at the studio. And basically, Joseline is setting her up. She's telling her, that Tommie accused her of calling the police on her and that she's going to have a little sit down with Tommie and get Tommie straight. But she also drops a little bug in her ear about Tommie wanting to sleep with her man, Stevie J. Joseline think everybody wants Stevie. Now, she believes that this is going to put Tiara on a little mission to get on the phone and gossip about it and eventually tell Scrap de Leon. Now, Tiara says, I don't know why this bitch brought me here. I'm not for all this bullshit. I don't want to be in the middle of this. But she then says something about letting Scrap de Leon know what's going on with Tommie, his beloved, you know, that she is not all that he believes her to be. So I guess Joseline's plan did work. She basically set Tiara up. Okay, the next scene is KK, Scrap de Leon's mother, over at his apartment packing it up. Now Scrap's in jail and she says that she's been putting this off, but this is something that she has to do. Now, in the meantime, she's invited Tiara to come over because she needs to talk to her. Basically, she feels like they need to sit down and, air out their differences and try to find some common ground for King, her grandson, and for her son, just so they can try to squash this beef they have. So Tiara comes over, they sit down, and basically KK tells her that she wants to squash this. That King has a birthday coming up, and she hasn't been to any of his birthday parties or been a part of it, and she doesn't want her grandchild to grow up thinking that she hates his mother, so she's going to be the bigger person, and she actually broke down. And I believe that, she was sincere. You don't cry like that if, well, on this show, it could be a possibility, but you don't cry tears like that, if you're not feeling something inside. So maybe it's that, her son went to jail and King is her only physical link to her son that she could actually touch. So she doesn't want to lose that. And she also knows that this is important to her son. So Tiara seems like, she believes her too. She reaches across the table and, grabs her hand and says, does this mean I can call you mom? And KK laughs and says no. And you could tell that Tiara is touched and she believes that they've turned a corner. So that was their scene. It was a pretty nice scene. The next scene, we get to this delusional Jessica Dime. Now, she is surrounded by bitches in pink wigs. I know I got on pink today, and this is just so funny. But this bitch is gonna launch did she say pink peace collection? Y'all, if I see y'all out there in those pink wigs again, I'm gonna scream. Because in my other video, I said that, every time you turn around, it's something with these love and hip hop people. And that if I came across something else, love and hip hop, I was going to scream. But if I see y'all out there in these pink wigs, and it is not even like subtle pink, it is like blam, Pepto-Bismol pink, and all different shades of that Pepto-Bismol color. Man, this girl is delusional. Now, she is going to drop a little tea on Karlie Red. And I don't know why she's so invested on, Karlie Red's relationship with Life Jennings. If any of y'all knows why she is, drop it down in the comment section, because this girl seems like she's going to like the extreme to let Karlie know how bad of a person that this Life Jennings is. So she invites this girl there, and basically one of the girls says that when Karlie was at this little event or something, the reason why she didn't come over is because she was his woman. And, I guess she felt some kind of way because Karlie was there. And then there's also yet another girl who tells Karlie that she had a baby by him, and she produces some papers and gives them to Karlie. Karlie reads it. It says it's 99.9%, that the baby is his. And then I don't even know why Karlie was acting like, she was all in love with him, and she grabs the girl or pushes the girl, and they kind of scuff when security comes in and, breaks them apart. And Karlie goes down the stairs yelling that the girl is thirsty and all of this stuff. And again, I don't know why Karlie was acting like this was her soulmate and these bitches are trying to break them up, because we all know in real life that they're not together, and the man told her that he didn't want her. So this shit was confusing, and it didn't make sense for Karlie to be going off like that, especially when she was messing with Scrap de Leon. Like I said, these stories are so twisted and mangled. You don't know what's going on and why people are giving you the reactions that they are. But y'all, child, please. Okay, Stevie wanders into a bar feeling sorry for himself, just down. But he comes to this bar to meet KK. She's there with two of her artists, and Stevie says he comes to support her because that's what family and people who care about each other do. So they go sit down to talk, and the first thing that KK asks is, what happened in LA? She said that Tommie told her some things, and she wants to know if they had a threesome. And Stevie tells her that, he wouldn't do that. This is family. He told her about the comment that Tommie said about getting him to eat her box, and that, basically this is family and he wouldn't do that. And so KK tells him about, Tommie saying that he came to her room, and he basically tells her that all of that is not true, that Tommie has like blown this whole LA thing up. And, basically she asked him to come to her room. So KK says, she didn't believe that he would do something like that. Tommie has been drinking a lot, and it might be the issue. They move on from that, and Stevie tells her about Mimi, wanting to put him on child support. And he's upset about it. Basically, he's saying that once she does that, then, this turns into some type of business arrangement. Now, I don't know why he's saying that. That's his child. I'm pretty sure Stevie J gives Mimi some kind of support. And for him to think of this as like a business arrangement, that sounds so foul. But KK basically tells him this. When a woman does that and she knows that, you are there, financially when she needs you, did you ever think that maybe she's doing these things because she's still in love with you? And basically, like I said, she wants to stay and basically on his bus. And Stevie says, I don't think Stevie believes that that's what it is. He says he doesn't care, and he doesn't believe that she would do this to him, because when she was going through the whole thing with the sex tape, that he had supported her. And basically he did, because remember, there was a whole bunch with, what was that guy's name, Nico or whatever. Stevie was even gonna fight him for a couple things that he said about Mimi and that he did to Mimi. So on that, Stevie J is right. He did go to bat for Mimi, because he, like he said, once that tape hit and was all out there, he could have went into court with that tape and asked for custody of his child, and he didn't. So Stevie J made a point there. And basically, on that, I agree with him because when that tape came out, his reaction surprised me back then. So, that made me think twice about, Mimi and the whole child support thing. But I'm with KK. I think it's Mimi is doing this to keep Stevie J, like, I guess, in her life. Like I said, these people are just too much. I don't even know, y'all. I'll be back. Y'all, this is crazy.
I don't know.
Y'all, I'm confused. What was that with Mimi and Chris? Okay, so let me work it out. So when Chris told Mimi that the whole situation with Stevie J was a little bit much for her and she was going to give Mimi some space. So Mimi says since then, Chris has been blowing up her phone, calling her 100 times a day. Chris says she's aware that Mimi is dating someone else. So they sit down to talk. Now this talk blows up into a big argument with Chris telling Mimi, I didn't break up with you. I thought I would give you space to work out, with your baby father coming to live with you. And it went left from there. So basically, Mimi is saying that she was by Chris's side through all of her drama, but Chris is saying the same thing about her. Now, it is obvious that Chris was very into Mimi, and I think from the scene, what I'm getting is after this alleged separation, because that's what Chris is calling it. Mimi is saying that it was a breakup. They had sex. So that confused Chris. She thought, I guess, that Mimi still cared. And, they have this big argument. Mimi slings Chris's shit at her, tell her basically she's fucked up. And Chris says, I love you too. And Mimi storms out the door. So I'm confused. Who was wrong in that, y'all? What? Okay. Mimi crazy too. They both crazy. All these motherfuckers crazy, y'all. I don't even. I was sitting there. I said, why is Mimi getting all crazy about it? Is it that she thought Chris broke up with her? And I don't know. Put it in the comment section. I don't get it. Okay, y'all. Karlie Red goes up to Life Jennings' little shoot to confront him about everything she found out. The baby mama, the German chick, and she's acting all like she was in love and that he has played her like no other man has played her before. Child, please. He basically blows her off. He tells her, I didn't even know about it. What the man was trying to tell her is maybe he had gotten this girl pregnant and he didn't know that it was his baby until he got the paternity papers. She goes through her dramatics like she does with these men and basically says he ain't about shit, and she walks off. Before she had walked off, she had told him that the German chick was just trying to get some citizenship papers, and he basically told her when she walked off that she should be deported. Child, these things are getting more and more just, I don't know. Child, Joseline and Tommie meet up, and I don't need to say that it didn't go well. The discussion was around Joseline calling the police on Tommie. Tommie didn't appreciate that shit. Words fly back and forth. Eventually, Tommie gets up and throws a glass at Joseline. Now, I thought Joseline's badass would, bring it on back to her. But she said, I didn't call the police on you before, but I will be calling it on you now. Joseline didn't lunge across that table like she do or grab Tommie all up like she did other people in previous scenes. So maybe Miss Joseline has met her match in Tommie, because just looking at Tommie's face, I think Tommie wants to fuck Joseline up. And that was the end of this episode. It was okay, run of the mill. We know how it goes. Fight here and there, sleep with someone else's woman. That's how it goes on Love and Hip Hop. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, you have a great day. Bye bye now.